Shall I start reading?
Yeah, you can start reading. An original, creative or evolutionary power.
Okay. An original, creative or evolutionary power there must be, but although matter is the first substance, the original and the ultimate power is not an inconscient material energy. For then, life and consciousness would be absent. Since inconscience cannot evolve consciousness, nor an inanimate force evolve life. There must be therefore, since mind and life also are not that, a secret consciousness greater than life consciousness or mind consciousness. An energy more essential than the material energy. Since it is greater than mind, it must be a supramental consciousness force. Since it is a power of essential substance other than matter, it must be the power of that which is the supreme essence and substance of all things, a power of the spirit. There is a creative energy of mind and a creative life force, but they are instrumental and partial, not original and decisive. Mind and life do indeed modify the material substance they inhabit, and its energies are not merely determined by them, but the extent and way of this mutual modification and determination are fixed by the inhabitant and all-containing spirit through a secret indwelling light and force of supermind, an occult gnosis, an invisible self-knowledge and all knowledge. If there is to be an entire transformation, it can only be by the full emergence of the law of the spirit. Its power of supermind or gnosis must have entered into matter and it must evolve in matter. It must change the mental into supramental being, make the inconscient in us conscious, spiritualize our material substance, erect its law of Gnostic consciousness in our whole evolutionary being and nature. This must be the culminating emergence, or at least that stage in the emergence which first decisively changes the nature of the evolution by transforming its action of ignorance and its basis of inconscience.
Okay. As usual, the language is quite difficult, but we must keep in mind the context. The context is very important. If you get the context, then you will understand what he is saying. Okay? So just give me the context so that we can start. He is talking about evolution. And evolution, he is saying that even normal men can see that first in the universe there is only matter. That's in life. Life is a new element and it came in, and when life comes into matter, matter is changed. It is no more a dead stone. It is no more a dead mud. It is become something capable of life. So, matter is changed and life also is changed. Life, remember, man does not see life. He sees a result of the working of life in matter. He sees an insect. He sees a stone. And he sees that there is a difference between the two. So he sees the process of life in matter, but he does not see life itself. This is very clear. Okay? To see the original life and original consciousness and original Ananda, you have to go right up to the highest Satchidananda level. There you will see not modifications and workings of life and consciousness, but consciousness itself. Take force, for instance. Do we see force? No human being can see force. They only see the effects of force. You see the river flowing and you know that there is a force which is moving. But the force you don't see. You see the effect of force. Exactly in the same way, here also, life is coming and changing matter. Then mind comes into life and also changes. And it becomes brain substance. Okay? So now the question arises, simply saying that there is so much of suffering, so much of perversion, so much of falsehood in the world. Is it possible one day to change this matter into divine substance? We have already assumed that there are 7 planes of consciousness, 7 planes of substance, arranged very, very serially from the subtlest to the grossest. Then we have also seen that there is consciousness. Then we have also seen that there is Ananda. And there are 7 planes. And the 7 planes are graded. So if the 7 planes are there, and we have seen that matter has been transformed up to the mental level, is it possible to transform matter into a divine substance? That is the question. Ask me. Okay. Good morning, Yasmin.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Sorry, I am actually traveling now and I don't have the book.
Okay. So you just listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the background. The question is, can we transform matter fully into a divine substance? Hence when we are saying, when life is coming into matter, there is a change in life itself and also a change in matter. There is a go between. None of them remain pure. Pure matter does not remain any more pure. Pure life also does not remain any more pure. An insect and a living creature is a combination of life and matter. Similarly, when mind comes in, it changes it a little more. So, what is that original substance which can change matter entirely into divine substance and not halfway? This is the question that is discussed. Clear? So now, what is that substance, original substance? That is Sat. Is it possible one day that the Sat will come and change matter entirely into a divine matter? We have already seen that there is dead matter, then there is living matter, then there is thinking matter. Brain. Brain is a substance that is capable of thought. So, then when you keep going higher and higher, matter itself starts becoming more and more receptive to the higher planes of consciousness. So Shraddha is now discussing this. So, the very first one makes you start thinking. An original creative or evolutionary power. Can you think of an not original creative matter, but a derivative creative power? Tell me. There is wood, and this wood is capable of being transformed into a table. But is the wood an original substance? No, it is not. It's a secondary substance. So Shraddha wants to know who has created. The carpenter has created a table out of wood. But who has created the wood? Which is the original substance which has created the wood? This is the question that is asking. Okay? So we know that there is Sat. Satchidananda is the original creative and evolutionary power. So now that's what he's saying in the first sentence. An original creative or evolutionary power. The word creative and evolutionary, there is a very great similarity between the two. If there is an evolutionary power, it is certainly creative. But only a creative power need not be evolutionary. It need not produce all the stages of evolution. That's why he uses the word all. Creative is okay, but it may not be evolutionary. So this original power which is there has to be creative. It must be able to create, or evolutionary power. There must be. Because that's what we have seen. But although matter is the first substance, the original and ultimate power is not an inconscient material energy. This is exactly what we have discussed. Matter is creative. It is creating life. It is creating mind from the bottom. Okay? But is it an original substance? The Swami is saying no. So who has created matter? That's the question he's asking. But although matter is the first substance, the original ultimate power is not an inconscient material energy. Because if it was inconscient and material, how can it have the power of consciousness? So therefore matter cannot be the original substance. For then life and consciousness will be absent. This is the Because of this, we can conclude that matter is not the original substance. Since inconscience cannot evolve consciousness, nor an inanimate force evolve life. You see the argument? But then life and consciousness would be absent. If it was an original one which is dead, then. But matter is not an original one. It is secondary creative power. Okay? Since inconscience cannot evolve consciousness, nor an inanimate force evolve life. There must be therefore, since life and mind also are not there, a secret consciousness greater than life consciousness or mind consciousness, an energy more essential than the material energy. What is the argument he is using? Because life is changing matter, no doubt. It is evolving, but not fully. Nor is mind changing it fully. Okay? So, this is the question that is discussing. Because it cannot, there must definitely be an original creative power which is capable of completely transforming matter into divine substance. This is the conclusion that is coming to. Because having noticed that matter is creative, but not fully. So there must be a power which will fully transform matter into the divine substance. Okay? There must be therefore, since mind and life also are not there, a secret consciousness greater than life consciousness or mind consciousness, an energy more essential than the material energy. Since it is greater than mind, it must be supramental. That means above mind. He is not using the word supramental here in his sense. Okay? He is not talking much about mind. He is talking about substance which is supra-mental, higher than mind. That's what it means. Since it's a power of essential substance other than matter, it must be the power of that which is the supreme essence and substance of all things. So there has to be, we may not have discovered it yet, but there has to be a substance which is absolutely powerful and can change matter into divine substance. A power of the spirit. There is a creative energy of mind and a creative life force, but they are instrumental and partial. They are not original substances. Okay? So they are instrumental and partial. An instrument is created. It is not by itself, not a creative power. Take an instrument, okay? Take a sitar. It is capable of creating music, but not the ultimate. It's an instrument only. So these are all instruments. Life is an instrument, matter is an instrument, and mind also is an instrument. And partial. It's not transforming, not fully, partial. Not original and decisive. Mind and life do indeed modify the material substance they inhabit and its energies and are not merely determined by them. But the extent and way of this mutual modification and determination are fixed by the inhabitant and all-containing spirit through a secret indwelling light and force of supermind. This is not a statement of logic, it's a statement of experience. Because logic, you can say, there has to be, if it is possible to change, there has to be a power. But it is only a supposition. But if you have the experience, and that's what Ranga had, and that's why he's being able to say. Okay? Mind, so there must be a supramental material power which can transform matter entirely. Mind and life do indeed modify this material substance they inhabit and its energies, and are not merely determined by them. But the extent and way of this mutual modification and determination are fixed by the inhabitant and all-containing spirit. So, in other words, Ranga is saying, spirit is already there in matter. That is why that is the one that is the original creative power. Through a secret indwelling life and force of supermind, an occult gnosis. Now he is using the word gnosis, which is using supramental in his sense. Okay? Not supramental, not above the mind, but the supreme truth consciousness. He uses the word gnosis. An invincible self-knowledge and all. Now again, know the word self-knowledge and all. It knows itself and all knowledge. What about us, human beings? We have some knowledge of the universe, but not all knowledge of the universe. And do we have some knowledge of ourselves? Somewhat we have. When I get angry, I know that I am getting angry. So I have some knowledge of myself. When I am jealous, I know that I am jealous, or at least I am supposed to know. So you know yourself partly. But this power which we are talking about, supramental, it has self-knowledge. It knows itself fully, and it knows itself what it is creating fully. It knows the universe, and it knows itself. That is meant by self-knowledge and all. If there is to be an entire transformation, it is still not decided that one day it will come where matter will be completely transformed into divine substance. If there is to be an entire transformation, it can only be by the full emergence of the law of the spirit. So only the spirit, when it manifests itself fully, can matter be transformed into divine substance. Its power of supermind or gnosis must have entered into matter, and it must evolve in matter. It must change the mental into supramental will, make the inconscient in us conscious, spiritualize our material substance, erect its law of Gnostic consciousness in our whole evolution in being nature. This must be the culminating emergence, or at least that stage in the emergence which first decidedly changes the nature of the evolution by transforming its action of ignorance and the base of ignorance. So he's saying, if my supposition is correct, that the evolution is there, we can see, but where will it end? So he's saying it could be that it will end with the manifestation of supermind itself. Okay. That's what he's saying. But there is no certainty that that will be the last step. Is that the last step? That's what he's saying. So now look at the sentence, you will understand what he's saying. This must be the culminating emergence. That means after that no more evolution. Culminating emergence. Or at least that stage in the emergence which first decidedly changes the nature of the evolution by transforming the action of the universe and making it inconscious. So he is giving that it could be the last stage, or it need not be the last stage. It could also be a stage in which ignorance is changed into knowledge and inconscience is changed into consciousness. That's what it is. Okay. Now we can read the next one. This movement of evolution. So, I don't know, Sima, would you like to read? Archana ji, if her mic is allowing, she can read. But until now we have seen that her mic is not allowing. We have also a new entrant, Jishnu. Jishnu, can you hear me?
Hello.
Would you like to
Yeah,
read?
Rangada, I can hear you.
Okay, can you read?
Rangada, can you tell me the page number?
Yeah, page number is 734.
Just give me one moment.
This movement of evolution. Which edition do you have?
That is important.
If it is
The older book, the centenary volume, it will be different page number.
So that's why the problem is there.
No,
Okay.
I have the new one. No problem. I found it.
You
I
found
will
it?
read, Rangada.
Yeah, this movement.
This movement of evolution of a progressive self-manifestation of the spirit in a material universe has to make its account at every step with the fact of the involution of the consciousness and force in the form and activity of material substance. You let me know when I should stop, huh?
No, go ahead. It is good.
Thank you. Thank you. For it proceeds by an awakening of the involved consciousness and force and its ascent from principle to principle, from grade to grade, from power to power of the secret spirit. But this is not a free transference to a higher status. The law of action, the force of action of each grade or power in its emergence is determined not by its own free will, full and pure law of nature or whim of energy, but partly by the material organization provided for it and partly by its own status, achieved degree, accomplished fact of consciousness, which it has been able to impose upon matter. Its effectivity is in some sort made up of a balance between the actual extent of this evolutionary emergence and the countervailing extent to which the emergent power is still enveloped, penetrated, diminished by the domination and the continuing grip of the inconscience. Mind, as we see, it is not mind pure and free, but mind clouded and diminished by an enveloping nescience. Mind laboring and struggling to deliver knowledge out of that nescience. All depends upon the more or less involved and more or less evolved condition of consciousness. Quite involved in the inconscient matter, hesitating on the verge of being involution and conscious evolution in the first or non-animal forms of life in matter, consciously evolving but greatly limited and hampered in mind housed in a living body, destined to be fully evolved by the awakening of the supermind in the embodied mental being and nature.
So, now he is discussing we have seen that life transforms matter, we have seen that mind also transforms matter. Now what about the next? Does something superior also transform matter? That's what we are discussing. This movement of evolution, which has come up to the third level, of the progressive self-manifestation of the spirit in a material universe. So, he is telling you now that the progressive self-manifestation, these 7 planes of consciousness that we have seen from the highest level, are all spirit. And when spirit is manifesting itself, it makes itself into a form. Okay? And that form is in matter. So now he is discussing that. Okay? So it is manifesting itself. First it manifests itself as matter, then it manifests itself as life, then mind. Now he is talking about the next one. Okay? In material has to make its account at every step with the fact of the involution of consciousness and force in the form and activity of the substance. He also now told us that there is a involution, just like the tree is involved in the seed. Exactly in the same way, the spirit, you want to use a different word and say God, or you want to say Satchidananda, you can say whatever you want. Okay? It is involved already in matter. And it is that which is slowly coming out. So, the higher level has to contend, has to take into account how far the spirit has already manifested itself. It has to take into account matter, life and mind. We just can't come inside and transform everything at one stroke. It has to take into present condition, it has to take into. See, whenever you make a new decision, okay, let us say in a company, okay, whenever you make a new decision, the decision has to be necessarily, it has to take into account the conditions in which it has to be, the new decision can be operated. Simply coming in and insisting will never work. You have to take the conditions of the physical before your new law or new way of working makes any sense. So that's exactly what he's saying. That which is evolving in the next stage, that is evolution, the supermind, has to take into account the already existing evolution. That's what he's saying. Okay? He explained, for it proceeds by an awakening of the involved consciousness and force and its ascent from principle to principle. Which are these principles? From the highest, if you want to say, Sat, Chit, Ananda, then supermind, and then mind, life and matter, or downwards. Or if you want to see upwards, first is matter, then is life, then is mind, then is supermind, and then on top of that we have the Ananda, then we have the Shakti, and then we have the Chit or Shakti, and finally Sat. Okay? So these are the grades from principle to principle. Slowly the evolution is taking you from a lower principle to a higher principle. From grade to grade, from power to power of the secret spirit. But this is not a free transference to a higher status. In other words, he is saying that when the higher comes into the lower, the higher does not remain absolutely in its native form. It gets transferred. Just as we have discussed, when life comes into matter, neither you can see matter fully nor can you see life fully. But you see a combination of the two. So exactly in the same way he is saying, even when the supermind comes down, it will have to take into account that which has already evolved. Okay? So the supermind will not be able to absolutely reproduce itself in the physical world in its native glory. Okay? What it is at its own level, even when it comes down, it cannot be the same. It has to be transformed by a lower darkness. It's like light coming down. Huh? When the light comes down into darkness, the light cannot remain fully light. It has to take into account that which is already dark. Okay? So this is what sense. It makes so much sense. So the law of action, the force of action of each grade or power in its emergence is determined not by its own free, full and pure law of nature or whim of energy, but partly by the material organization provided for it and partly by its own status. So, achieved a degree, accomplished fact of consciousness, which has been able to improve upon. Yes, the other day I gave you an example, and I give that example again. Suppose you have a glass of fully orange color, fully orange color, and you have another glass which is, say, blue. Okay? Now, if you mix these two, neither you will get orange, nor you will get blue. You will get a combination of the two. So this is what he's saying. Even when the supermind comes down, it will be subject to matter, life and mind. Okay? It won't be the full, free and pure law of nature, but it will be a combination of it. But partly by the material organization provided for it and partly by its own status. Achieved degree, accomplished fact of consciousness, which it has been able to impose upon matter. Its effectivity is in some sort made up of a balance between the actual extent of this evolutionary emergence and the countervailing extent to which the emergent power is still enveloped. He is explaining the same thing, which I explained in this way. Okay? Take a glass of one color and take a glass of another color, you mix. You will get neither of the two, you will get a combination of the two. Okay? That's what I say. Because the inconscience at the bottom is very, 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 very powerful. It is so powerful that it will affect anything that is coming inside. Okay? So that raises a question. Does it mean to say that the divine consciousness can never be here in the physical world? The question is that evolution is infinite. Because if there is a final stage where everything has become divine, then what is beyond it? So that is the question that comes up. So evolution is an infinite process. There does not seem to be any limit to it. Because if there is a limit, then God is limited. And we can't be. So it cannot be that evolution will one day end in a perfect manner. But this may discourage those who think that it's not possible. It is possible because each step that you take, every inch, is so stunningly different from the other that you will not feel dissatisfied. So this is must be different. He's saying, I am reading from the middle of the para. Mind, as we see it, is not mind pure and free, but mind clouded and diminished by an enveloping nations. You can you use the word nations or science. That means lack of knowledge. Science means knowledge. Okay, from consciousness it is coming. So anything that comes down from the higher level can never be fully pure in the lower level. It will get transformed by the impurities of the lower. Mind laboring and struggling to deliver knowledge out of that nations. All depends upon the more or less involved or more or less evolved condition of the consciousness. How far it has come, it is going to determine what is coming. Quite involved in inconscient matter, hesitating on the verge between involution and conscious evolution in the first or non-animal forms of life. In matter, consciously evolving, but greatly limited and hampered in mind, housed in a living body, destined to be fully evolved by the awakening of the supermind in the embodied mental being in nature. This is what he's saying. So we have got still 5 minutes. I'll just read the summary of what he's saying here. Okay? So we get the whole idea in a nutshell. I'm reading the summary, which is there in my computer. You don't have it. The upward progress of the evolution is heavily conditioned by the density and darkness of matter, which is the starting base of the evolutionary ascent. The progress proceeds by the emergence of the involved powers in matter, life and mind at first. But life and mind emerging from matter do not possess their original native character that we have seen just now. They get diminished, degraded by the density and inconscience of particular substance. The actual form of manifested life and mind are combinations of the powers of both. The higher emergent and the lower obstinate stability of the inconscient grounded core. Life and mind are both restricted and are not allowed their free play and power in the native nature. What mind is at its own level, when it comes down into the physical world, it cannot retain its original power. It gets mixed. Consciousness emerging from matter at first is plant life. It achieves a higher grade with animal life, and even with the emergence of mind, it is still imperfect and ignorant. The supermind descent into matter will fully manifest the consciousness of the spirit. Not everywhere, but only in that matter which is completely supramentalized. That's what we say. Okay? So, the next one, each grade in a series. I think it's quite a big para, so we won't finish it today. So next time, we'll take it up from here. Each grade. One of you has to note down. And in the meanwhile, in 2 minutes, if anyone has a question, they can discuss it.
Dada,
Yeah, tell me.
I have a question.
when we are watching this process of evolution, this ascension, it's in the time and space, and it takes a million and million of years. But is there any time and space so far as the spirit is getting involved in matter?
Ranga is talking of evolution in material time and space. The other times and spaces are there, but they are in the subtler and subtler worlds. So exactly what your question was, I could not understand. Tell me again.
What is the state of time and space so far as this evolution is concerned? Evolution.
There is a space at the lowest. There is a material space. There is a life space. There is a mind space. There is a supermental space. Okay? Upwards. And that space becomes less and less material as it keeps going up. Time also, at the lowest level, it is relative. But time is something flexible. When you go up to consciousness, time starts changing its own character. It, in fact, even disappears at one level. So this is a fact. And now what your question is still not clear to me, perhaps because the question is not well formulated.
I will send my question with a little detail to you in the WhatsApp. Then I think I will get that. I'll
Remember one thing. The evolution that Ranga is talking about is not in the higher planes. It is at the lowest physical plane. So, time and space, physical level, the consciousness, the supermind will descend here and make itself compatible. It will make itself proportional to the conditions in the physical world. That is what is. Okay? So, we close today, 8:40. If any questions are there, next week we can discuss it. But we will be meeting only. We will be meeting only Tuesday, which is the synthesis. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, Rangada.
Thank you, Rangada.
Au
Thank you.
Jishnu,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Au revoir.
I'm closing.